You know my favorite line, don't you? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to. There was a little joke right before we started, so I don't mean to be opening the meeting with a laugh, but good evening. Today is January 14th, and we ask everybody to please rise before we start our meeting. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we would like to pass on condolences to two residents of the town that have passed, and one being Lou Skerrick. I want to say that right, Dr. Lou Skerrick, who was the town moderator for many, many years, and our condolences to the family, and also to the Melidio family. And Bob Melidio passed suddenly, also a former FinCom member. And again, our condolences to the families. Okay, official business. We'll get some minutes out of the way, and then we have a full house tonight, so we'll have everybody come up. Minutes for December 17th are in your packet. I would ask for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve December 17, 2012 minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes of January 4th, 2013 as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? And for the public's
Mr. Chair.
knowledge, this meeting was not on TV, so, all right. Mr. Fowler.
Yeah, on page 3 of 3, the second sentence, it states that it was Mr. Smith there. I think that was myself again. I think it should have been that. So if we could, perhaps,
Yes.
am I correct on that?
You're right. Yep, you're right.
Perhaps
Yep,
if
I
we
didn't
make
catch
that
that, yep.
correction. Do we need a motion to make that correction? I guess.
Well, we said as presented, so
As-
if we just do a little line through it, Judge Fowler, I think we're good as presented.
Yeah, I thought I did ask that. I thought you had mentioned a topic and I asked that. I don't remember exactly, but.
Well, I don't
I
know
don't think it
exactly
was
how
that,
we
but-
get there. I brought up the topic.
Which is fine, we can change.
Yeah, so-
We were talking about it, but I thought I did make the request to see if we could have her come in.
Yeah, I know. We
That's fine.
talked
We
about
can-
it, so.
It's not a big deal.
it's-
We both were talking about it.
We
It's not a
talked
big
about
deal.
it, and it is on there, and I did follow up with.
So do we want it to be
All right, leave it as
Fowler,
is.
or do
then.
we wanna
No,
be-
leave it as is.
as is? Okay.
Okay.
All right, so leave it as is with Smith. You got that, Mike? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, police department. I guess we have a lot of business with you guys tonight, so we'll bring police department up first.
Good evening. Well, why don't we proceed, if you allow me? We'll go with, we have a citizen award this evening.
Sure.
For Josh Noonan, and what I'd like to do is, the information was sent to me from, to Lieutenant Donald Cudmore. I'd like him to read the one I'm holding in my hand, the citation.
Thank you, sir.
And why we're here tonight.
Mr. Chairman, good evening, Board. We were contacted back in December by a local resident concerning the actions of one of our high school students. There was an incident that occurred on Friday, December 7th, at approximately 2:45 p.m. There was a substantial motor vehicle crash with personal injury on West Main Street, and it was identified that Josh Noonan, excuse me, a 16-year-old sophomore who's a student at the Georgetown Middle High School, went beyond the call of duty that day. A witness said that Josh had aided the injured victim in the crash, who was in fact a teacher at the school as well. His actions included tending to her injuries, personally contacting her family, and calming much chaos at the scene. Josh should be commended for his actions that day, and we should all hope that in a time of need, someone like Josh Noonan is there to help.
Fantastic.
And based on that, we have presented, we have in my hands a certificate of civic achievement from the Georgetown Police Department. I'll read it before we gave it to Josh. It'll be awarded to Josh Noonan for exemplary conduct and excellence in performance of civic responsibilities, for unselfish devotion to his fellow man in the community which he serves, whose actions have been such as to bring honor to himself and recognition. So
Fantastic.
we have that. Okay? Hello, you folks. Why don't we turn you around here, buddy? I'm an old hand at this, okay? I told my guys, "Get out of the handcuffs, smile." He didn't. Thank you. Okay,
Josh, we also have Representative Mira, I see, is in the room, so if you want to take some pictures with our state representative, that'd be great too, so. Okay. All right. And I can actually say that, welcome Representative Mira, formally now. There we go.
There he is.
All right. Excellent job.
That's
Excellent job.
All right, let me move on here, so we have it there. I think in order to move along the board's agenda, we'll move on to the appointment of Christopher Palusi for the, to the reserve, position of reserve police officer. I'd like to introduce Christopher. Christopher, could you come up here with us and we'll grab a seat? Chris, could you grab that seat over there? That's fine, bring that one up, that's great, pal. Okay, gentlemen, this is Christopher Palusi. And
Hey, Chris.
I think before we leave here, you'll be impressed with his resume for such a young man, okay? Christopher grew up in Boxford, Mass. And attended St. John's Preparatory High School in Danvers, Mass. He furthered his education and attended, I'm going to ask you to say the name of this college.
Quinnipiac University.
There you go. We got it.
That's why I'm not on radio. Which is in Hamden, Connecticut. He received a bachelor's degree in criminal justice with the determination to begin a law enforcement career. Shortly after graduating from that university, he attended Suffolk University in Boston and received his master's degree in criminal justice, where he graduated with honors and was selected to be part of the National Criminal Justice Honor Society. Chris has worked for the Essex County Sheriff's Department as a corrections officer in the Middlesex House of Correction. In 2007, he was hired by the United States Border Patrol as a federal U.S. Border Patrol agent and was stationed in El Centro, California, for just over 2 years. He was then hired by the Department of Homeland Security, Transportation Security Administration, as a Transportation Security Officer. He is currently with the Transportation Security Administration and is working as a Behavior Detection Officer. He was hired as a reserve dispatcher with the Georgetown Police in April of 2012, and he graduated from the Reserve Police Academy on December 15, 2012. Chris has recently moved to Peabody with his fiancee, Jacqueline Lerner, who's in the room, along with Chris's mom and dad tonight. Also, as an aside, I wanted to, Chris earned a very prestigious award that was handed to him by Governor Deval Patrick and our Lieutenant Governor, and there's a little bit of he was recognized as First Line of Defense Award. Chris Palusi is a behavior detection officer with the Transportation Security Administration and exhibited exemplary situational awareness when he discovered a prohibited item and then followed proper procedures by immediately notifying state police. Palusi was also recognized for providing exceptional customer service for medical emergencies when he came across an individual in need of care as a result of a fall from an escalator. Palusi gave comfort to the passenger until Massport Fire Rescue arrived and provided medical assistance. That item he found was a weapon in a bag that actually ended up belonging to a federal agent, but there was no way of knowing that at the time, so it was an excellent job, and that person was not injured. As you know from past history, in order to get here, he had to pass a physical fitness exam, which you can see he's pretty physically fit, and a complete background investigation. I can tell you in the time he's worked with us since April, he's dedicated himself to the proposition, getting himself certified as a reserve dispatcher, and I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. He's the kind of young man and young officer that we we're trying to develop here in the Georgetown Police Department. And I know I'm getting old when I see these young
Yeah,
officers.
let's,
The last recruiting class we were here,
Looked like science club from high school. We thought they were from the science clubs. Oh,
Poli
science
Sci
club.
Club, you know?
Oh, yeah, right. And political science clubs here, too. It's like, oh, boy.
and
We're all getting old, Chief. We're all getting old.
I'm getting older than all of you. So what I'd like to do is I'd ask the board to appoint Chris Palucci as a reserve police officer with the town of Georgetown Police Department.
Duly noted. Okay. I would entertain a motion to appoint Christopher S. Palucci as a reserve police officer.
Mr. Chair, I move that we appoint Christopher S. Palucci as a reserve officer to the Georgetown Police Department
And to expire
with a term expiring, is that June
June 30th.
2013.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Well, good luck. I'm sure this is gonna go
With
very
the
well.
board's permission, I'd like to go off something we don't normally do, but as folks are here tonight, I usually do this in my office, and I won't go into the lecture, I'll give you when I talk to you in my office. But I'd like to present him, I know the appointment becomes official when he signs his appointment slip, but I'd like to present you with your police department badge. Okay.
Yeah, I know, right? Chief, you jumped the gun a little
I'm
bit.
sorry.
And I don't, no
I'm
pun
sorry, I
intended.
apologize.
But, all in favor?
I'm sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you, Chief.
That's great.
This is your official ID, this is your cap badge, okay? And you'll see me for the lecture.
All right, great. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, we're really happy to have you aboard.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Pleasure to meet you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much. Appreciate it.
This is
Thank you, sir.
our
Congratulations.
town administrator, Mike Farrell, and we'll do this one, just like we did before. I'm sorry, that's up to
We'll get there.
I know, it's just old. I always look old in the pictures, I
Thank you
know.
so much.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you very
Wonderful
much.
meeting you.
It's great meeting you guys. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, Chris, this is yours, can I get some cover?
All right, thank you, sir.
And we'll see you at work.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Protect and serve. See you soon.
Okay. I think, if again, with your indulgence, if we could ask to have Superintendent Carol Jacobs come up with and sit with us.
See, those were the easy ones, Chief. Now comes the money ask.
Thank you.
Okay.
Evening,
I
everyone.
Good evening.
I have prepared a
I don't have
statement.
my superintendent's uniform on like these guys. I tell them I want a uniform.
Carol, something
I want
tells
a
me you carry a
uniform.
bigger stick than they do.
I want a uniform though.
I can assure you she does.
She does, exactly.
I'm not sure that's a compliment, but I'll take it.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I think it was a compliment.
No, that's a compliment.
Oh, thank you, David.
All right.
Well, today is obviously the 14th of January, 2013, and it's 1 month since the events that occurred in Newtown, Connecticut. And I've got a statement for the board. The Georgetown Police Department is deeply saddened by what took place in Newtown, Connecticut. As you know, and as this board and our members are mothers, fathers, grandfathers, and grandmothers, we can't imagine what the parents who lost a child in this senseless act of violence are going through. They, along with the children and adults who survived this tragedy, are in our thoughts and prayers. This tragedy undoubtedly and understandably will cause citizens throughout our community, the country, and the world to wonder about the safety of their children and the students in their communities. As police chief of the town of Georgetown, I'm here tonight with our superintendent, schools, to address your concerns and to reassure the community that the Georgetown schools are safe and the Georgetown Police Department and the Georgetown schools are well-positioned to protect the students. I'm confident that with the current practices and protocols that are in place, provide a safe and secure school environment for our children. With that said, there are always more things we can do to improve the safety of our children. Sometimes we lose sight of what the initiatives the police and the school work on. Some of the things you should know we're doing a daily random patrol assignments for our officers, miscellaneous visits to the school, memorandums of understanding with the district attorney's office, school safety committee meetings, local drills and department trainings, and regional drills. Our primary focus is always on mitigation and prevention. On a daily basis, Georgetown officers assigned to day shift are assigned to random school patrol. These patrols require the officers to sign up the school, check at the front desk, and walk through the majority of the school facilities. Each day, officers are assigned to patrol specific schools selected at random. Selection of the schools and the patrol times are random, as is the assignment of specific officers in order to not create any discernible pattern. These patrols assure our officers are familiar with the layout of the schools and that the students and staff are comfortable with regularly seeing officers in the schools. And I have gotten positive feedback from our citizens since we've started these initiatives. MOU, we have a memorandum of understanding in place between the Georgetown Police, Georgetown Schools, and the District Attorney's Office. Superintendent Jacobs and I both sat with the DA in the past and signed this document, which requires a coordinated response to all violent, delinquent, or criminal acts by students. Whenever such incident occurs, police and school officials take a team approach to ensure such incidents are swiftly and appropriately addressed with the safety of all students being paramount. School Safety Committee. The Georgetown Police Department also plays a role in the School Safety Committee, which also includes Georgetown Fire, Emergency Medical Services, and Emergency Management, and several departments within the school, as well as Peter Durkee's department, the Highway Department. The Safety Committee meets on a monthly basis and discusses and plans for code blue drills and any issue that impacts on school safety. Local drills and department training. The Georgetown Police Department has worked with the Massachusetts State Police to train each officer in active shooter program. These drills, as well as code blue drills, are done periodically throughout the school year. In-service department training is continually provided for all officers, including classroom instruction and hands-on practical exercises. Regional drills. The Georgetown Police Department is a member of ALERT, which stands for Area Law Enforcement Response Team. This team includes police departments from 18 surrounding communities, including Georgetown, Amesbury, Salisbury, Merrimack, Newburyport, Newbury, West Newbury, Raleigh, and other local communities. In May of 2012, we conducted a mock drill in Georgetown for response time to the Pembroke School. All the listed departments participated in this drill. The purpose of the team is to render and receive police mutual aid in accordance with a signed agreement between each of the participating communities. This is why I'm here, School Liaison Officer. I am requesting that the Board of Selectmen approve a request to add one more level of protection to our schools. Ideally, School Liaison Officer. This officer would be assigned to daily to walk a patrol in each school building and parking lots, to keep their eyes and ears open for any safety concerns that may be a security problem or turn into a security problem. This officer would have a direct link to the police department via communications and be equipped to handle any situation that might arise in the school, from a medical emergency to an unwanted person in the schools. This officer would work with each school principal and administrator to exchange key information about security issues on a daily basis. The hope would be that this person or this position would be a stopgap for problems. I can tell you, everybody talks about security and putting officers in schools, but that's only one part of this position. When you have a police officer in school, historically, once the young people get to know him and trust him and get used to the presence of that male or female officer, there's a better likelihood that they'll be told what things that are going on, whether this child's a victim of a crime at home or whether something's happening. And that's how we stop things. Once something starts, I can only minimize it, or we can only minimize it. Our hope would be that if information came to our attention, that we could actually take action to stop something from happening. So that's one of the remaining ingredients. And we know, Superintendent Jacobs knows and I know from past history, we have stopped acts of violence from occurring because our school resource officers retained intelligence that told us something was going to happen and we were able to intervene in that. In closing, I believe that with the additional school liaison officer and the current practices and protocols that are in place, along with the outstanding collaboration we enjoy with our schools, provide a safe and secure school environment for our students. But I also I say it again, there's always more we can do to improve safety, and the commitment we have to our schools and the students is to protect them. I think the money part of this is important. I'm sure you're curious as to what it will cost. We looked at that. To fill this position, which would be 5 days a week during the school day, it would not work when the schools were closed. We wouldn't have them in when we didn't need them. Hourly wage of one of our reserves officers is $16.21. 8-hour day is $129.68 per day. There are 99 active school days left in the school year. To complete this project would cost $12,838. I'm well aware that that this Board of Selectmen do not approve these, doesn't issue the money. But I'm asking for your support with the Finance and Advisory Committee to fund this position. It's, in the future, it may end up, we're all looking for grants. I read today that the government's looking at grants again to do this. As you know, in the past, we had a 3-year grant. We had a police in the schools for 4 years. 3 years of the grant, 1 year is us. So I think it's important. I think I'm coming to you in a timely fashion. We're 1 month away from one of the most unthinkable incidents. And we can do all we want, but this position might be the one that stops something terrible from happening in our community. So that's why I'm here tonight.
Chief, have you calculated what that would do? Because if we were to appropriate this money and go ahead with this, what would it be from a structural standpoint on your budget for next year?
Well, if we did the whole year,
Right, because
right now,
certainly, if we're gonna do it now, we wanna continue this program going forward, so.
It would double, Mr. Chairman. I mean, there's 180 school days.
That's where
That's
we're at?
funded for 99 days.
Okay.
I mean, last year, without a small increase to the reserve officer hourly wage, the superintendent as well as the police department, we funded the position probably about $14,000
Yeah,
roughly.
$14,000.
if we did fund it into the new year, and if we did it this way, it would be substantially less than if we hired a full-time police officer.
Right.
I'm not supplementing the full-time police force. This would not be the same person, because we can't do that. That might be considered supplementate. But what we do is we'd assign a reserve officer as we went.
The same person to handle that?
We would
would
try
be
to
rotating?
minimize it to a couple of people, but we can't do one person because
Understand.
that's a labor issue.
Second question I have is not related to this, is that you have a structural issue in your budget because the academies were canceled, or?
No, sir, it didn't affect our plans.
Okay, all right, so we weren't
That
included.
academy
We're on
did not,
track.
yeah.
We're on track.
All right, so, because you had sent us a memo saying there was some additional money there, because of those, I guess rescheduling or some classes that were full, or,
We
42,000 sticks in my head, but that was the
No,
only.
you've
Maybe I
you've given
misinterpreted
us,
that.
we will be appointing a full-timer with my retirement pending.
Okay,
We will be, in March, we expect to put an officer in the next academy in March.
okay,
And that officer will be a full-time certified or school officer. He will be a student officer, is the word term.
I understand.
And when I leave, about approximately the time I retire, he'll graduate, so the police department will be at
All right.
full-time complement.
Okay, so
But
there's
that
no
money's not-
structural issue there in your budget for next year?
We had no problem with
No,
that.
Mr. Chairman, I believe you're probably thinking of the 22,000 we came to you for the transfer
Right.
with regard to the academy attendance. And then beginning in July 1st, with the chief's retirement, that number goes away because of the retirement of the chief and the addition of the new
Because I was
officer.
doubling it, I was taking the 22,000.
No, sir.
Plus, okay.
No,
All right,
sir.
So we were able to
And we-
absorb that into our regular
It keeps the
budget.
complement of officers at the department at 11 full-time officers, as it's always been.
Okay.
So
So
it hasn't always been.
Since
We're
December of
actually down one
2009.
officer.
Recent history.
Since December of
Not that I think about
2009.
that, but
Thank
I
you
was
for
on
the
FinCom.
reminder.
Perfect opening.
Was I
Yes,
on
it was.
FinCom then? I think I was on FinCom then. Anyway, so essentially we're looking at, for the 14 budget, about a $26,000 line item, give and take, a couple of $100. Okay. In addition to anything else that's we're contractually obligated to. All right,
I think the number in the previous years was we did it 3 days a week versus 5.
okay.
That was the
Well,
reason
and-
for the 15,000 versus the 24 you're looking
And
at
we'll
now.
be in very good shape towards the end of the school year to kind of report back to the board where we are, and to report to the Finance Advisory Committee and to Town Administrator Farrell, where we are in this thing. So we'll be able to come back with some pretty good information about how if we get this funding, how it's working out. Anything that comes of it, we can come back and say, look, these are the good things we've done in the school.
So I would open it up for questions, sure.
So would this person split their time between schools then? Is that basically?
Yeah, the idea would be a random patrol of all the schools, but dedicated to the schools, so that the principals, the administration would know there was an officer in the schools. And that person would be, there'd be no issue. If a call came in, that person's will be between one of the three schools.
And so, Mike, maybe just procedurally, how does something like this happen? Is this a budget change? I mean, is this a town meeting change to a budget, or how does this work in terms of procedurally how this happens?
Well, there's
Both.
one way to do it is through the reserve fund transfer.
Okay.
Although we've been hitting it pretty hard, there's about $45,000 left out of about approximately 96,000. So for almost $13,000, there's enough money to pay for this for the rest of the year in the reserve fund. I don't believe we need a town meeting approval. We budget for the full amount coming in May in this current budget cycle.
So in the May town meeting, assuming this were to move forward and we wanted to continue it, the town would, in essence, vote on that full-time position via voting on approving the whole budget, which would include it at that point.
Yes.
If I can, it's not a full-time position.
I'm sorry.
It would be a
yeah,
part-time
yeah,
funded position.
a new position, I should say.
Let me,
And I don't see the need, this is not a quote new position, it's a reserve, well, it's a reserve officer. So we're not creating a new position, we're creating a new body. So I don't believe we need to go to the personnel board with this. This is strictly a monetary issue and a budgetary issue, and the FinCom would have to fund it.
So is FinCom the deciding body in this process then?
It would be my opinion they are, yes.
quick question on that. So this is a five days a week.
Yes.
Did you look at how effective a 3-day, cutting it down a little bit would be?
We've done 3 days a week, but I would point to 9/11. There was a Marshall program in place in 9/11, but they weren't on that plane.
Mhm.
I don't want that hole in the boat. The idea is to put somebody in there. These are times I don't even want to talk about what could happen and what's going on in what we're hearing out in the world, but that's why I'd like to get it into place.
Well, the difference is $260. I mean,
Well, the logistics of that too, David, where, let's say we had an officer and he started looking into something, he was investigating something that was going on, and then he wasn't there the next day.
Yep.
It's just very hard for the
Continuity is an issue.
continuity of the process.
all right, I'd open it up for other questions. Anybody have any questions? Anybody?
Just a simple, reserve officer is a part-time
a reserve.
position in the department, is that?
Yes, he or she has attended a part-time academy.
Yeah.
They're certified by that academy. They're brought into the police department. They're trained in first responder, which is CPR, first aid. They're qualified with firearms. They're issued tasers. So that officer, the way we treat them anyway, we don't treat them as reserve officers, although that's their title.
Right.
We get all the training, all the work we do with these folks is you'd be hard pressed to tell a full-time officer from a reserve officer. So they're highly trained people. As you saw this evening, we had that Chris Palusi in here, and he's highly trained. He's federally trained, and we've worked very hard with our reserve force to make sure they're the finest officers for this town. So I would have confidence in any reserve police officer. They ultimately will be, as openings occur in the Georgetown Police Department, the way we do business is we hire our reserve force. We don't go outside. The people we bring aboard are the people we've mentored, and we know and we trust. So we know that they're the best officers we can provide to our community.
So does a reserve officer draw benefits,
No,
health insurance, none
No,
of that? So there's
nothing.
not a
Just
burden rate per
just a
se by
salary.
adding this?
Very low salary, as you noticed.
Yeah, on the hourly wage.
It's
and
very
everything
low,
like
you know.
The only cost to the reserve force is annual training, a small clothing allowance, as well as additional funding for qualifications and the like equipment that we need to use to keep them certified as a reserve intermittent police officer in the Commonwealth. So there is, the cost is small in comparative to a full-time officer.
that. Right,
In Georgetown, we fill almost 100 shifts a month with reserve officers.
right.
So right now, we have a complement of about 15 reserve officers, which, in line with potential scheduling, would increase the police department by 4 full-time people. And that includes the fringe benefit package that Town Hall would have to supply, retirement, health insurance, and all those products that come along with a full-time position. A reserve officer works less than 40 hours a week, so there's no scheduled overtime. The rate of pay, you can see, is $16.21.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a burden, and we would not be able to function without them.
These are citizen police officers. The majority of them have a full-time position somewhere else. They have a desire to serve. They have a desire, most of them have a desire to become full-time officers. And we're working, some don't. Some are full-time firefighters in larger communities around the town, and they're not interested in being full-time, but they're interested in doing law enforcement work.
I think, too, if you have the police respond to your home in Georgetown, you will not know whether the officer that services you is a reserve or a full-time unless you ask them, because they have identical training and certifications to remain on the job. The only difference with them is that they don't do it 40 hours a week.
Okay. And you plan on paying for it out of the police budget, or is it a combination of the school and police, or what are we thinking?
From my point of view, we've done that in the past, and frankly, it's our budget, it's our officer. He or she reports directly up the chain of command at the police department. I feel like it's a police function, it ought to be in our budget. We've kind of, we've done what we could. Superintendent Jacobs has been great, helping us in the past, but honestly, this is my budget, it should come out of the police department budget. It's short money for what we're talking about at this point. So I feel like where a person reports to us, is trained by us, comes under our policies, procedures, rules and regulations, standard of conduct, that we ought to pay them too. That ought to come out of our budget as well.
Okay.
So looking forward to 14, would you bring to FinCom a recommendation that this become a full-time position, or would you continue
like
to fund
to
it through, the reserve? Because you can't, I shouldn't say you can't. My question beyond that, there's 2 questions. A, how are you going to handle it in 14? Second question is it going to be the same person, or are you going to rotate a couple of people through? Because if it's the same person, it almost feels like a permanent
We will
position.
have to rotate
Yeah,
because of
union,
this,
yeah,
because
they
of
become a
union
position, union contract. Got
concerns.
it.
We'll have to rotate people before. Our unions have been excellent,
Yeah, great.
and they haven't made any issues of this. But I know if I go 5 days a week with the same person, that is an issue. It's supplementing them, and we are down a full-time officer. And to answer your question, this is the temporary. We're going to sit down. We will come. We've already submitted a good part of our budget to Mr. Farrell, and we will be. This is something for consideration among us. We'll sit down and talk about it. We have lost a member in 2008. We had a layoff, and we have never replaced that person. The town has grown by 20% since 2000, and we're at the same manpower level since 2000. So, my feeling is we need to get that body back, and the board, so that's my feeling. But I think right now we tried to put something together fast, something we could do fast, something that was within a reasonable amount that I could go to my board and ask for your support, and then go to the Finance Advisory Committee with your support, because I think that's key in getting this done. Without the board's support, there's no reason for the Finance Advisory Committee to say yes.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that your support gets us over that hump.
I can tell you too, because we've had 3 different officers over the years through the schools, and what they've done is they've taken a potential, like an issue that could be a problem, and they've handled it inside the school before it becomes a problem. And now at this point, we just get it when it's a problem. So, I'll tell you, they took the call volume and brought it way down with a liaison officer, a school resource officer in there. They've been a great help, and they're inside the schools.
And as Superintendent Jacobs said, when that principal has to deal with somebody, it's so much easier that they don't have to tell the thing over and over again. If we break this down to, let's say we find 2 offices we can cover this with, because that would be within the scope of if we could, then there'd only be 2 people to deal with. And they would communicate with each other, and they would back up each other and follow up each other's work. So there's a lot of good that happens there. 2 groups in our community, seniors and kids. Those are the 2 at highest risk, for all sorts of reasons. And we're doing pretty good with our senior citizens. I'd like to apply this to our kids, at least in the schools.
Steve, sure.
First off, I know you've all reviewed the safety procedures at the schools, and not so much made changes, but just did some reminders and
We made many changes.
some changes. And so first of all, as a parent, it's appreciated. you know, it might take a little longer to go bring the big backpack my daughter forgot, but it's much appreciated that I get signed in and I get a badge and all that stuff. So first of all, thank you for that. And secondly, Mr. Chair, I would say that I think this makes sense primarily for two reasons for me. Is one is ultimately the town will decide in May whether this is something we're going to do going forward, which I think is really an important principle of how we operate, and it's up to the town meetings to do that. And secondly, given that we have had some extraordinary and tragic events lately, that this is a reasonable measure to take versus an overreaction. And it's a short-term reasonable measure to take for some additional security and even additional peace of mind for the parents and residents. And again, it's short-term, and then in May, the town decides if it's something that they want to pursue on a regular basis.
Any other questions for our police department?
I guess I would say on procedure, then, from what I'm hearing Steve say, this would be a separate line item in May for an additional, because I thought that it was going to be absorbed in the budget.
Well, if I may, Mr.
form.
Chairman.
So let's clear this up, please.
I think that budgets were due on the first week in January, and a level services budget, somewhat of a hybrid budget relative to information, was given to the town administrator. And then during the budget process, now that this has come to light, it will be an additional topic to add to the police department's salary line item at that time. We need to vet out whether the position's viable at this board, at the finance committee level, and whether the 5 days a week will be palatable. And then we'll submit that supplemental number to the police department's salary line item. It will not be a separate line item, it will be in the police department salary line item. And then that goes out of the level services budget that we submitted to the town administrator, but that will be vetted out at that budget process in
Right,
February.
and
So
the
in essence,
decision-
there'd be a $25,000 difference, delta, plus or minus, of your budget.
We'll have an
proposed-
exact figure, yes,
proposed
sir.
in May,
Yes.
that the town could then decide on supporting or amending, or FinCom first decides to support, along with this board, so.
It could be funded through the reserve piece, or it could be a permanent full-time position.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Unionized,
That would be, and there may be two propositions brought forward, you
Right,
know.
well,
so-
that's the point, and that's that's up to FinCom at that point to bring that forward, and then if the
Correct.
townspeople to vote on it. So does that answer the question, Gary? They can go either way with this, they haven't really decided. The most inexpensive way to do it would be through the reserve piece, which is about
That's why we
$26,000.
did it this way.
So we would just be doing a stopgap and let them decide with FinCom if FinCom's gonna support it or not after for the 14 budget.
Yeah, this is a transfer for FY13.
Understand?
And then the budget vetting in February will determine FY14.
Yep.
But our budget has been submitted pursuant to the town administrator's
You
instructions
just
for
have to
January.
really get that in as a change.
That's correct.
So Gary,
Well, if I get, I'm more the guy that believes in living within your budget. And the town budget can only go up a certain amount each year unless we have overrides. Overrides burden people. I believe that you're doing a fine job. You stated all the things you're doing. And I've gone over police budget in the past, and even though you may be at the same level of officers, I believe your budget has had the opportunity to go up more than other budgets in town, other than perhaps with the recent override for the schools. And I feel that if we add to your budget, it's gonna end up taking away from somebody else's budget. That would be my fear. And so I'd rather see it go through the regular budget process that FinCom does. That's my feeling on it. Okay.
For
Rather than
FY
make a move
14,
here.
Gary, or for this year?
I'd rather not make a move now. Also, I believe in your presentation, you mentioned about your thought there might be some possible grants coming from the state. And I would wonder if we did put somebody in there, could this affect applying for a grant if you already had a position somewhat staffed also? If
Well, I'll be frank with
something-
you, we've have applied for a federal grant every year since we lost the last one. And unfortunately, well-to-do communities like Georgetown fly under the radar. And Lawrence's, the Lowells, the Haverhills, they get this stuff. We don't get it. We're not even considered. and it's been that way, and I can tell you,
That's true for all.
Well, I
of us.
apply for the
Yeah.
grants, I've applied for,
my heart sinks every time I
four
get the
federal grants.
rejection letter. Yeah.
so,
So
Well,
we don't,
and
but
and I'll continue to
they
apply
are
for them.
talking about grants, and we
Me too.
we go for every grant that's out there. If there's a grant and we think we can get it, we go for it, so.
So what I would support, and it's just me personally, would be to fund this for this interim time. Let's see what the effectiveness is, and then we'll talk about it when we get to the budget piece, whether that's gonna be a structural issue or not, going forward. So I would be willing to fund it up until, just for this appropriation, and then see what the effectiveness is, come back, report to us and FinCom when we have those discussions, and see how that's gone. Although we may not have enough time to evaluate, because budgets are done, the final budget would be voted on in May. So we may have a good idea then how effective the program has gone. So I'd be willing to give it a shot to try this and then see how effective it is, and get a feedback, and then let the people decide. And I'm more on the side of Steve's camp. This is reserve money. Reserves are there for issues. It's within our budget because it is appropriated. I just don't want to create a structural issue going forward, and that's where I think would address some of Gary's concerns about living within our means, and making sure that the program's effective and it's something that we want. So again, by appropriating or suggesting or supporting a $12,838 appropriation, we're still living within our means of our budget, because $96,000, I want to stick in my mind, how much was in the reserve when we first started?
Yeah, 96,000.
Yeah, so we had $96,000. So it's been budgeted. It's what's in our budget for these types of issues that we want to address during, if something comes up. So for me, we're staying within our budget now. We'll address that when we get to the 14 budget going forward. So that's why I would support this. So, any other questions for the group? Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion that we approve this or take a vote on this.
We support. How's
To
that?
support it and send it up to the FinCom, and have the FinCom vet it and vote on it, and see if we can get our board to support this.
Okay.
I'll second that very long motion.
Sorry.
So I understand the motion. Let me repeat it. And you can. The motion is that we support a reserve fund transfer of $12,838 to the police budget for the purposes of funding a school resource officer. Is that what you
School
said?
liaison, school liaison, there's a difference.
Is that what you said, Stu?
Yeah, okay.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
cool. That's what I
Okay.
said.
That's what I said.
Thank you.
All right, so we got a
Thank you,
second.
Mr. Chairman.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Again, I will say, I'll support it to fund it here, but then it becomes living within our means going forward, because this, again, reserve money is part of our budget and has been voted and living within our means, and we're gonna use a piece of it for something extraordinary like this that's come forward. So that's why, again, I'm supporting it. So, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries. All right, so, but that's not a guarantee that you're gonna get it. I mean,
Absolutely,
that's
I know
now in the
that.
hands of
I know
FinCom,
that.
and
I know that.
I'm sure they will certainly go through it and come up with the decision they feel is the best decision, so.
Before we leave, we have one more item.
Okay.
I kinda loaded the agenda tonight, so.
You pass those around, please.
Can I-
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to talk tonight about the crossing guard positions as we move towards the fiscal year 2014 budget discussions as well, and discuss manpower and funding. As you know, in 2013, for FY 2013, the budget currently is budgeted for $6,796 for two paid positions for the crossing guard program, one which is stationed at Pearlie and one which is stationed at Pembroke. We have one volunteer for the high school. I've given you a list of the posts which are reviewed every year by myself concerning school population and the like, and we have tried shifting crossing guards around, but ultimately we bring them back to the to home camp in front of the schools because we can't fund those other positions. But I got a letter from one of the current guards that he needs a 44-day leave of absence to handle some personal matters, which I granted to him. And not being able to fill the position, we went to the Council on Aging for some advertising, and we visited Trestle Way, and lo and behold, we did have someone come forward who would actually do that temporary position and showed interest in actually staying on. So my plan would be is to permanently keep him after the April 8th time when the other guard comes back. That requires a need of $1,115 to keep that person for that third position. Just to give you a historical perspective of the crossing guard program, I pulled some old records out as long as 20 years ago. And back then, the crossing guard budget was $11,000, and we had 8 crossing guards in all 8 positions on a regular basis. The posts that were eventually eliminated was Georgetown Center, Prospect and West Main, Pembroke Ave in East Main, the Building Supply parking lot in East Main Crossing, Library and Central Street Crossing, and Central Street and Elm Street. We did create a new position, if you recall, at the board's request last year for the Canterbury Drive Andover Street crossing, which is extremely dangerous as well. That was temporarily filled. In addition to that, we're hoping to create temporary positions through the Senior Citizens Property Tax Incentive Program with the Council on Aging. For 62 hours, they get a credit through that office. So I contacted Colleen today to see if she could split a couple of positions, and maybe we could take some of these positions and utilize it in that volunteer basis, but have them folks participate in that particular program. The person who's come forward to fill in for the leave of absence has an interest in staying. So after that April 8th date, I was hoping that I could provide him that position until the end of the school year, and that's the reason for the $1,115 request.
Verify that amount again?
$1,115. It's an hour a day. I'm sorry, 2 hours a day, an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon at a post. And the hourly pay for a crossing guard is $10.72 currently for FY13.
Because our agenda item says 1,500, so.
No, I saw that. I think that with the timing issue, this was pushed off, so every day that we don't do something, we save money.
Right.
So again, I'll put this from a structural perspective again. There's not an extra $1,115, whatever it is, in the budget now to handle this anywhere. I mean,
No, the crossing guard line item.
It's under police, right?
Yes, it is. It's a separate line item. It's not in the police budget. It's one of our nine line items that we manage, and if it's used, it's used. If it's not, it's given back. It's strictly for crossing guards with sick calls and the like. If someone calls in sick, we try to fill it with an on-duty police officer, and then that money is not expended. And I've had to come back before because 2 years ago I changed both guard positions, and we had a lot of sick calls with some previous guards. In the last 2 years, these guys are there every single time, so I need to increase that
And the
line
weather's
item.
been good, too.
Yeah, they just, which is good, they don't call in sick. So, and then on a final note, with regard to the plan you have in front of you, there's also a position that the school funds in front of Winter Street and Maple Street. That's a crossing guard position that the superintendent's office has filled over there. So that's also included in that post plan that you have.
So to come back is going to be, the question is going to be, because I know constituents are going to ask me, is we passed a $1.2 million override for the schools, and we can't find $1,115 to fund a crossing guard. So I'll put that on you, Carol.
Well, I think the discussion we had was that it belongs in the police budget. It's a public safety matter.
Right.
And the reason I fund the.
Well, its own line item, I think.
Its
would
own
be
line
the-
item. The reason the one I fund is because it's actually physically on school grounds.
Understand. So
That's
there's,
a very dangerous area in the morning.
so there's no way, and again, from a structural perspective or a procedural perspective, where we could do a line item transfer from the school budget to the police budget for $1,115, Mike? Or is that, do we need an act of Congress to do that? Or is
Pretty
that-
much.
Yeah, okay. All right. Because that's the questions we're gonna get from the public, is that we're spending all this money and we can't find another $1,100 for a school crossing guard to fill in, so. I'd open it up to the board. Any questions for our esteemed group?
I would probably have the same vote as the last one. It's not easy, but as I say, I believe in working these things out the way they're supposed to be worked out through the budgetary process. And we've dipped on different things into free cash and reserve, as Mike said, we've dipped into it a bit already, and if we keep going, I just don't see it. I mean,
The only thing I'd point out to the board is this is the first time in years that we have had anyone interested in taking this position. We have a gentleman out there right now that is a volunteer, and he doesn't even have to show up. He's a volunteer. He's a retired gentleman. He comes as a goodwill, you know, and Lieutenant's taking him out to lunch. I bought him gift certificates to say thank you. But, you know, we got somebody, we finally get somebody on the line, and it's $1,000. We didn't create the situation. We kind of, this has been a hot potato. Everyone wanted to get rid of it and it ended up in the police department side of things, you know? And I'm not saying Carol, I'm saying in the past. We went down from 11 of these people now, and we're talking again about the safety and security of our kids. And if you think about the job, $10 an hour, and you have to be there in the morning, and you have to be there in
In
the
all weather.
afternoon, it messes up your entire day. And it doesn't matter what, you know, all the bad weather and all those things. So, like I said, this is a position of safety and security. We didn't create the wheel, we're stuck with the wheel. So we're asking for that money to, again, we're going to finance committee with this, and we're gonna be asking them to support this. And maybe we should look at how we fund these positions in the future. you know?
Well, I think it's also, even having was it a third or a fourth? You know, we need 8, so this is just a
Well, it's
small
really-
Band-Aid.
We probably do.
So maybe
Yeah.
maybe we come up with a better plan than just adding one more person, you know? and I
Very
go-
tough.
Well,
I know it's
we had-
hard to find people to do it, I agree.
It's hard to find people.
We had
And
researched.
We actually
I'm sorry,
collected
go ahead.
data. We actually
Oh,
collected
sure.
data on the number of students who crossed for a number of months in a row to try to identify where are those places that we really need them.
And
So
we
there's-
attempted to hire, we did attempt to see how other communities handle crossing guards. And some have the crossing guards under the purview of the police, some have them under the school district. Some actually hire a private company where they pay per location. And the folks, the equipment, the training and the like are provided by this private company, and they handle the crossing guard situation in those communities. We did price that out.
It was much more expensive.
Cost prohibitive for Georgetown,
Yeah.
but
So there's no
definitely a
way
need.
there's no way we can do this through the school budget, Carol?
What, David,
This-
the
this a lo- yeah.
$1,000?
Is there a,
This is the first I've actually heard of it, so.
well, I mean, again, because of there may be a little more room in your budget to maybe hire somebody, you know, to cover this one crossing area for the remainder of the school year at that $1,115. Is there any way that you could do it without having to bring it through the line item transfer and increase the budget?
Well, there isn't, we don't have such a line in our budget.
Right.
Where the school committee would probably have to go for something like that is school choice. And we've talked about the structural deficit. You know, is there $1,000? There might be. But it's, you know, as you know, because we've talked about that at length. That's where we would have to go if we were to do this.
Right. And I don't think that's a bad idea, just to get through here and then come up with a plan that takes us into 14, to be honest with you. Again, that's my feeling, but I'll open it up for questions, Steve.
This topic drives me nuts because we've gone through the years.
It's
25% of our population pass these people every day. If you look at parents and school buses, it is the highest impact on safety to cost ratio we have to have in the town. You guys do a great job, but these people see 25% of the population every single day. This is every dollar is important, but this is small money for the amount of safety you get for the population of the children and all the parents and all the out-of-towners that are going by and all the other population that goes by.
And Mr. Smith, if I may too, we as the police department, we as parents, we think about it every day. I responded to the call where somebody was hitting a crosswalk and severely damaged. Every morning, you think that once that school bell rings, everybody's arrived safely. It is a concern, and you're absolutely right. And I know funding's tight, and I know that we all do what we can, but that's why we bring it before the board. As Mr. Fowler said, it's up to the taxpayer.
Right, and I do agree. We'll go back to, Mr. Chairman, what you said about if we're going to make some budget changes and structural changes, That's where the town comes into play, and that's the process we follow. We do create a reserve for a reason. So $1,115 of safety seems a ridiculous conversation to have here. We have the reserves. It's not an issue for the reserve money. It's where we should be spending our reserves. It makes sense. And again, I do respect trying to keep fiscal responsibility. This is being fiscally responsible. $1,115 out of our reserve to ensure that we close the crossing guard gap and keep everybody safe. And again, it goes beyond the school kids. There's 25% of Georgetown goes by these people every day.
Mr. Fowler?
In reply to that, I would say it seems that this has been budgeted in the past, correct? As
Yes,
you
it has.
said
It's been
you have.
reduced.
And it's been reduced, and as you say, it's, perhaps it wasn't the place to get reduced, but it got reduced because someone saw a need to reduce it. The need could have been because we put on another teacher, or we put on another officer, or a half an officer, or maybe the highway department was here, or the fire department, so that doesn't fall on us. I mean, this is a procedure that we go through, and I do agree that it's a shame that, excellent point, the residents that are walking by in that. So it needs to get looked at in the correct way, I believe, and not in this fix it here and now way. So I would send it to the budgetary process. That's what I would be supportive of. Get it fixed, the correct way.
And I agree 100%. That's what the town meeting is, but it's also the correct way to take. We created this reserve to fix it now, not this. Just that reserve that we have is to fix things now. That's why it was created. So that's why I'm proposing it. This is makes sense to fix it now. It is following our procedure. It is following our process. It is using a reserve fund that we had put aside to make. It'll be FinCom, not us again, correct?
Right, this is only-
Allowing
right.
FinCom to make these decisions. The reserve is a fix-it-now budget, so it is within our purview to fix things now. That's why it's there. And the question is this a good use of the fix-it-now money? And I'm advocating that, yes, it is. And again, we're fix it now for a short amount of money, and then in May, a new proposal can come forward for a crossing guard structure that the town can vote on.
All right, well, let's move the question. So let's get to a motion here, and then we'll have some further discussion if we need to. So, anybody want to make a motion? Let's get to it. Anybody?
I move to recommend, is that the term we're using?
Yes, good.
I move to recommend, just left my place, to FinCom to transfer $1,115 to the crossing guard line item.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I think we've, although I don't want to stifle discussion, but I think we've beat this enough.
I just want to second Gary's points about how the budget process should go. I
Fully agree with.
I agree with 100%. I think this is within our purview to make a decision, but I completely support that. Your process where the town makes the decision is right on. I'm with you. I just think we have a process to handle these things this way as well.
To that, I would say, I don't want to put the burden back on the townspeople. Generally, the townspeople vote on the budgets that get presented to them, and it probably got taken out of what the townspeople got to vote on in the past. And it was probably either the police department or the school department that reduced it in their budget.
Agreed?
Just,
Right.
Okay.
I'm with you.
All right, so, personally, I am not going to vote in favor of this, just to let you know. I would prefer to see it come out of school choice. Let's find, if it's that urgent to be done, let's see if we can find $1,100 out of our school budget. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay.
Nay.
yay.
Okay, so we've got that, and the motion does not carry. All right, anything else?
Yes, sir. If you may, at least consider appointing Mr. Larry
Oh,
Mintz
okay.
to the position of crossing guard so that I may fill the vacancy that is going to occur when our other crossing guard takes that extended leave, and then at least he'll be appointed. He'll begin to work. Let me give you the exact dates because I do not want any confusion. He will begin on January 29th and end on April 5th.
Great. Well, we're
So
gonna
if-
appoint them through June 30th anyway, so.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do that, just so you have a backup person, just in case. All right, so why don't we get this, this will complete this whole section. So, anybody want to take a stab at nominating?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I move that we appoint Lawrence Mintz as a crossing guard, term to expire June 30th, 2013.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you,
On
everybody.
behalf of the police department, thank you all for your support and for your time tonight. Really
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
for your hard work also.
Thanks, chief.
Carol, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so, I see that. Yeah, so. So we have representation from the fire department here tonight. I know there was a call, a tone went out, so who's left? Anybody left in the room? No, come on up. And I also would like to, all right, come forward, please. And I would like to welcome Senator Tarr here to our meeting. Also, Representative Mira come to our meeting. We're here to honor Chris Conway and Scott Silva for completing the firefighter recruitment fire training. So, congratulations, gentlemen.
Unfortunately, Chris is not here.
Is he on a call?
Yeah, I think he might be.
Yeah, we heard the tone go out a little while ago. So, well, congratulations on behalf of the board and the town.
Yeah.
Great job. Again, hopefully we can, the call will be over and things will be taken care of and he'll come back and be able to accept this citation. So I hear we have a citation from both our esteemed representatives.
We
in
do
the
indeed,
legislature.
Mr. Chairman, and through you to the board, it's nice to be back with you in the
great
first
to
part
have
of
you.
2013, to wish you a happy new year and say that we look forward to working with you in the kind of productive relationship that we've always had over the years. And I know that I join you in welcoming our new state representative, who's hit the ground running on a number of issues, and I know that he'll be a good working partner with all of us. And it's wonderful that we get to come in our first act of official business to be able to recognize two outstanding members of the community who have chosen to make the sacrifice to be members of the fire department and to do something that we don't always think about or see, and that is the time and the sacrifice of training. We oftentimes see these folks in action and we think that that is their role, and of course it is, but we don't think about the long hours and the personal sacrifice that it takes to get to the point where they can effectively respond to emergency situations. And so when someone makes it through the Firefighting Academy in Massachusetts, which is run by an outstanding group of people led by our Fire Marshal, Steve Cohn, it is a moment to take note of and to commemorate. So we thought it would be appropriate to congratulate these graduates and to say thank you to them, Mr. Chairman, for undertaking that challenge and that responsibility and for spending the time that it takes so that when we know or when we see them at a scene, we know they're delivering the very best public safety protection possible. And that's what the Academy represents, and that's what these two graduates represent. So it's a real pleasure for Representative Mira and I to come and offer these citations in recognition of that accomplishment, and just to really say thank you for taking up the challenge and for working to protect us every day, and for doing it in a very professional and highly trained and highly skilled way. It's really a great thing for all of us, and it's a great example for others to follow as well. And while we're here, I just think we would also say a word of thanks to the chief and the department and all of the other members of the department for creating a great team and a great sense of commitment to public safety and a great environment that it inspires others to want to join the department and to become trained. So with that, Representative, do you want to offer any thoughts here?
No, it's a great example of our system working well, and this is a great example of what we get, with diligence, hard work, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
All right, so Representative, you can hold that one.
All right.
because I get the sense there's a photo op, Scott, in the wind here, so we'll try to figure out the staging of this. I know the camera's behind us, so we'll figure that out. But, and I want to mention that I have actually been through some of the evolutions of training at the academy myself, and I know how challenging some of them can be. When you're in that burn building and everything closes up and the fire starts, it's a very interesting situation. Some of my colleagues, I think, were trying to padlock the doors while I was there. But at any rate, these citations are from the representative and myself. These happen to be the Senate versions, but he will also have for you House versions. But this reads, "Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Scott Silva in recognition of your graduation from the Massachusetts Firefighting Academy. And be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate extends best wishes for continued success, that this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested to, and a copy thereof transmitted by the Clerk of the Senate." Again, these are the Senate version, and Representative Mira will be following with the House version. But these are signed by our Senate President, Therese Murray. They're attested to by our Clerk, William F. Welch. I am proud to offer them as your state senator, and they're actually dated for when the original graduation was, which unfortunately I was unable to be to, which is why we wanted to come and present these in person. So they're dated on December 20th of 2012. And Scott, this one is for you. Congratulations.
Thank you again.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, when Senator Tar refers to the number of hours, 360 hours of training is what these folks go through. Was it Monday nights, Wednesday nights,
Saturdays,
all day Saturday,
Yeah,
sometimes even on Sundays.
You know.
It was a lot of. It started in 95-degree temperatures and ended when it was about
Snowing.
20.
Yeah, 20 and snowing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on behalf of the town.
Absolutely.
We're that much safer, okay,
Thank you.
with both you guys. And again, it's a testament to the job that Chris is not here, so. So,
Mr. Chairman, though, with your indulgence, could we actually have Representative Mira perhaps read that one into the record?
Sure,
So that folks
absolutely,
can-
sure, absolutely.
Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Christopher Conway in recognition of your graduation from the Massachusetts Firefighting Academy, and be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate extends best wishes for continued success, that this citation be duly signed by the Presidents of the Senate and attested to, and a copy thereof transmitted by the Clerk of the Senate. Mr. Chris Conway.
Yeah. And we trust, Chief, that perhaps you can get that
I
to
will
the-
certainly do that.
Okay.
You
Mr.
guys
Chairman,
wanna
would
take
you
a
like to
photo?
stage a greater photo
Sure, why don't
opportunity
we, yeah,
with the
we,
board? And,
You wanna get a better, we should get everybody in, fire department, everybody, everybody.
Police, fire.
Thank you.
No.
Gary? Hey, good to see you. Thank you. You
You
too.
stand over there, and I'll stand up here.
well,
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, good job.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right, we have the wide angle lens, because those holidays are just me in.
I'll swing over there.
It's the same as
I know
mine.
you always get back.
Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Come on and jump up, guys. You're a little shorter than me.
Oh, what's that supposed to mean?
You got it?
How's that?
Hang it up.
I've never used this camera
Oh, you
before.
got
Disclaimer. We gotta get closer.
You gotta get
Move in,
in.
guys,
I got
move
room up
in.
here.
Turn sideways.
Come on
Yep,
up.
turn
Yeah,
sideways.
everybody turn sideways and get in.
You know that hug that someone
Gary.
won earlier, you know?
Those two? Yeah.
All right, wait a minute. You gotta make sure we do this right.
Stu, you gotta move.
So, you guys closer. Turn sideways. Turn toward the center.
See, someone takes charge.
All right?
Here we go.
Scott, you get in the center right there.
Hey,
All right.
Senator, don't worry about him.
You hold it that way.
Yeah.
All right.
Right up like that.
Everybody, no, you guys all turn to the side as well. That's, no, go the other way. There you go.
Other
There you
side.
All right. Now, I can't see you, so you gotta go that way a little bit. All right.
Here's another one.
That's the official department, Ken.
We may need that
There we
one.
go.
Oh, we got it?
All right. Is that better?
Are you Republican or Democrat?
All I'm gonna say is I got the job done, so that should tell you which party I'm in.
That's because you're a politician.
We good?
Good thing it's in a rifle. I don't know.
She's
Closed.
turned it off, Mike.
There's nothing on the,
All right,
nothing on the screen here.
technology.
Try it.
Don't worry, when you press the button, it'll
Lens
say
cover's
it's
on.
busy.
There's no lens cover.
Gary, you look like you're in a high school graduation picture.
With the white hair, yeah.
There you go.
Well, it took a while.
It's okay. Try it again.
All right. I hope. Now, where is the guy that owns this thing?
There we go.
That sounded like
That sounded
It's
like,
okay.
sounded like it.
Well, let me do one more, because
Oh.
it's not showing here.
I'm trying to sneak in.
Okay, my second.
Gary, move
Get
back in.
guys. Back in.
One for the money.
I know, huh? That's the longest photo
Man,
op
we
ever.
should have a recess here.
What are we doing?
That's what Christ said, too.
Cameras are on, boys.
Cards, so it's a blast.
Maybe calling you.
Pretty nice to see you. Thanks for
I saw you on Pine Needle today.
What's that?
I saw you on Pine Needle today.
Why don't you? I can move out of the show.
And we'll get it.
Hold on, just one. Can I have a motion to have a 5-minute recess?
Second, so moved.
So moved. Stu, can you second a 5-minute recess, please?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, 5-minute recess.
5-minute recess.
All right.
So,
Okay, we're back, and next thing is a skier. Yes, I knew I was gonna mix this up. Skid steer loader lease, and I guess the lease needs to have my signature on it. So this is something obviously that we have already been approved. Money's been appropriated. This is just formality. The terms of the lease, I guess, are what we expected. No changes or anything like that.
Cheaper, actually.
Actually, oh, well, we want to hear cheaper. How much did we save? Do you know? Off the top of your head?
Per year, a few $100s,
Okay.
but we've received a lot more attachments with it, so that's even better.
Okay. So, good. All right, so any questions for Peter on this particular item? It's just a matter of me signing the lease, so.
Just on a couple $100, it all adds up.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Great,
you.
you got more and
I
save some money.
move that we approve,
Authorize David to sign.
authorize our chairman to sign the skid steer loader lease.
Oh, he said that, great.
Second.
Okay. All, any discussion on the motion? We have a motion and a second. All's in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Public Works construction contract requires the approval of the chair to sign.
This is for paving in town.
Okay.
We sent the bids out back in July, or should I say before that, in June, and DNR paving was the low bid.
Okay.
So we just need to send a contract. They've signed the contract, and everything is to spec with the contract, so.
In terms of pricing, has Hot Top come down at all with oil prices or no? No.
It's $67.95 a ton installed right now.
All right.
I move that we authorize our chairman to sign the Public Works construction contract.
Actually,
You have to be specific, right?
I think you're all gonna sign it. So you're,
gonna approve this?
motion to approve the
I moved,
contract.
motion to approve the Public Works construction contract.
Can we put the name? Is it DNR? Is that what it is?
DNR paving.
DNR
With
paving.
With DNR paving
There we go.
$271,800.
for $271,800.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. All right, we just have to sign them and get them in, right? Anything else, Peter? Did I miss anything? I think that was it, right? In terms of,
Am I here for West Street too?
No, he signed the notice of
Okay.
proceed
Right.
before the meeting.
all right, Pete.
Taken care of though.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Sorry to keep you so long,
Nope,
but
not a problem. I enjoy watching
Late
that
tonight.
stuff.
full slate tonight, so.
Yeah, a lot on the
As long as
agenda.
you're not involved, right?
Thanks, Pete.
All right. Okay, let's go right back up to new business. We've already, if you haven't signed the warrant already, although I
Wasn't out.
wasn't out, was it?
Nope.
There is
Didn't see
no
it.
warrant yet.
Okay. All right, so keep in mind, we're gonna have to come by either tomorrow or Wednesday to get the warrant signed. Opening the annual town meeting warrant from annual town meeting is gonna be May 6th at 7 PM at the middle high school. Mark your calendars. So we need to open the warrant tonight. So I would entertain that motion if somebody wants to make it.
So, Mr. Chair, I move that we open the annual town meeting warrant, which is town meeting scheduled for May 6, 2013 at 7 PM at the middle high school.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Mike, it seems we're doing this a little bit early in time. Is this earlier than normal?
Well, it's
Feels
the
no
first
earlier.
time last year, the board established it is early.
Right, because, okay.
Because
That's
the
why-
board established a new policy to open it up in January and leave it open for approximately 6 weeks, I think, the policy calls for, so we'll be closing at the end of February.
Okay, it just seemed early, but again, I just want everybody to understand that. All right, good. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Presentations,
The first and second, I'm sorry, on that.
I made the motion.
seconded by Mr. Smith.
Could I ask a question, Mr. Chair, on the
Yeah, absolutely.
contracts?
Absolutely.
Excuse me.
This is a copy of the same one, Mike, because one looks like 7,800, and one's 2,700.
What one
One
are you referring to, Gary?
This DNR paving. There's two contracts, is it like a copy?
I think one's for the loader, isn't it?
No.
No, that's
We've
Chairman's
got two,
signature.
we've got two for DNR paving, it looks like two different prices on them.
I might have made a mistake
Pass them back before
when I wrote those in. They
the
different?
7 could have been a one.
I think that's a
one.
one, but just check. I think it,
That's, yeah.
I thought it looked the same, so take a look.
Yeah, 271.
Should there be?
71800.
Yeah, there's just a little
Yeah,
smudge that makes it
Okay,
look
and
like
there should be 2 of
277.
them.
yes,
Okay.
two executable copies. One for us and one for the
Okay, thank you.
contractor.
Did you
Yeah,
sign
that one
it,
looks
Mike?
like
The one that looks
277.
like a
Can you just
7.
fix that one? That looks like a
271.
7.
That's the one I didn't sign, I think. I'm not sure.
See where that could be misinterpreted.
Now I made it worse.
Just
I'll write it at the end.
Yeah, write it down below and we can initial it or something, I mean, that's,
All right, so while Mike's working
Thank you.
on that,
yeah.
okay, so we received a thank you letter from the Mike Donahoe Memorial Road Race, and obviously a great event. This is the first time I attended this year. My son ran, and what a great day. Weather was great. So on behalf of Mike Donahoe Memorial Race Committee, we would like to express our sincere appreciation for your support of the 6th Annual Mike Donahoe 5K Run Walk, which was held on October 21st, 2012. We are very grateful to continued support and the many contributions from the town of Georgetown, and we continue to experience great attendance at this event with over 800 registered runners and walkers this year. So, and the event has raised over $200,000 since 2006, and they've been able to award scholarships, again, $24,000 to date. So, great event and great job, and we appreciate the thank you. The MMA Annual Business Meeting Credential Voting Form. Mike, quick question on that. Do we have to appoint you as the voting member?
You do.
Okay,
Unless
so-
anybody's planning on attending.
I'd love to get there, but this year is just not feasible for me. But, all right, so I would entertain a motion to appoint Mike as our voting member for the annual business meeting with the MMA.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Just
So,
as a follow-up to that, Mr. Chairman, I did put in your individual mailboxes, I received some free passes from a vendor. If you care to attend the trade show only, either Friday or Saturday, just present that invitation at the registration desk at the Heinz.
That's all right.
It's quite interesting. There's
I wish I
several
could get there
hundred
this year.
vendors from fire engines to software and engineering firms and everything we utilize on a day-to-day basis is there.
Now, do I have to sign that, Mike, or no? You can, I
Um,
didn't see where there was a spot really for
The date is
26th.
26th and 25th and 26th,
Okay.
Friday and Saturday. No, we'll just, you only sign it if no, it needs a
There is a,
signature.
yeah, a credential.
Bottom.
Yeah. No, in the middle there it says signature.
Okay, next thing on our agenda is to approve the Drumney, Roseanne, and Anderson, known as DRA, the DRA contract for the Pembroke School contract with them. Again, it's in your handout. You see that the value of the contract's $3,345,602. I had the opportunity, along with Mike, and another member of the school building committee, Jeff, to go through this. We did bounce it back to DRA and ask them to remove the design development phase. Was originally higher than that. We asked for $30,000 reduction. They went back to the subs and they went ahead and granted that and knocked their contract down by $30,000. In terms of the value of this contract in proportion to the overall scope and budget of our project, in comparison to other schools, comes in from the average at a good clip. I think it was overall 8.82%, if I have the numbers correctly. Don't quote me on the exact number, but it was in that range. And a lot of the projects that we looked at in comparison, scope and size, come in at the 9.25, in that range. So they come in at from a comparative perspective with a pretty aggressive pricing for the town of Georgetown. So we were very comfortable with this, as long as that one category that they took $30,000 out, and they did. And we've come to this arrangement for $3,345,602, and that's covers the entire project in terms of the architects, subs, and so forth. We've already spent with them about $550,000, which was to get through the feasibility study, of which we were reimbursed at 50%, right, Mike? Do I have that right? Of that five? The overall project was, right, we would be reimbursed on that.
Which project?
The feasibility study piece, the 550, we were reimbursed by the state on that piece.
The 720,000. Oh,
Right.
We ended up, yes, it was,
Right.
actually, it was almost 54%.
Right, okay, so a little bit more than half, okay. So, our role is to go ahead and approve this. Again, it's been vetted through the school building committee. Again, I was on this the actual subgroup, I won't call it a committee, but a subgroup of myself, Mike, and Jeff. And we went through this fairly, with our project manager also. And asked for some comparatives, wanted to make sure that our project, in terms of looking at the other comparable projects, that this was in line, and was actually a little bit less, again, from a percentage perspective on some of the other projects we looked at. There was one school that the number was significantly lower, but I guess it was more improvements rather than a build, so we kind of discounted that one. But most of them were in that 9 to 9.25 range. This came in around the 8, from what I can remember. This is, again, going from my memory, right around that 8.8, 8.82. Am I in there, Mike? My number's pretty much.
That's right, Dave.
Yeah. So, any questions on this? This is, yes, sir.
What is this contract for?
This is for the overall architect services and design for the entire project. $48 million, you know.
The project's 48 million, this is 3 million.
$3,345,602, which we'll give you after.
Yeah, I'm just asking, why are you just signing, I'm curious, why is this just being signed for just this amount, not as part of the whole contract?
It's a subcontract of the entire contract that we have to go ahead and approve.
Really?
And sign with the contract, yeah, with the architects.
Because is this like the design level?
It's, again, feasibility schematic, which we've gone through, design development phase, construction document phase, the bidding phase, construction phase.
Continue to do this through the whole project, as each part gets addressed?
No, this is this is it, one time with them.
So this is,
I'll talk to you about it offline, all right?
If I
Yes, Mr.
may,
Mr. Fowler.
this is the architectural drawings that would start the whole process, is that what this is?
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
the
so
DRA,
this is-
yeah, it's everything. It's the bidding, it's the whole project.
all the
Okay,
administrative.
Everything.
them?
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Completion phase, everything. Construction phase, the bidding process. The construction document phase carries the most amount of money. And the whole contract is there. Again, we've gone through it with a fine tooth comb with our project manager there too. And who acted as kind of a liaison with us in DRA. So, again, this also is reviewed, it has to be reviewed by, the state too also, as part of our whole project, so.
But it's all of,
It's everything. It's everything in terms of what DRA is gonna provide for services from us. for us, rather.
At this point.
For the whole project, from what I understand, right, Mike? Am I saying that incorrectly? But that's the whole project.
Yeah, this
That's
is
it.
the last contract we'll sign with DRA.
Right. Just like we had to sign one with them to do the feasibility study, this is to handle the rest of the project.
Yeah, this is basically, that's why, the Amendment 1 was for we had a full project budget that was approved by MSBA and this board and the school committee and the school building committee, one bottom line number. And then we had Amendment number 1, which was for the 550,602. And now this is Amendment 2 to that the project, and it's the balance to get us to the full amount of the project budget for design and construction services with DRA.
Yeah,
So this
and-
doesn't drive the budget up. This is part of the overall budget.
No, but this is for Pembroke. I mean,
Yes.
this doesn't take into any effect of what we're not so sure we'll have to do yet at the high school.
No, this is Pembroke School only, at this point.
Yeah, there'll be a separate contract for the feasibility study for the high school, and we anticipate that being approved or being invited into the project at the end of this month.
But just a question, if that, something like that got disapproved when it had to go to town meeting, would we be on the hook for this full amount if the state backed out?
No, that's why they did it in separate amendments. We just did the first chunk was for the feasibility study, and this never, we wouldn't have gone forward with this portion of it, the design, development, and
We were
would
never
not
on,
have happened.
we were never on the hook for anything. If it didn't pass town meeting and it didn't pass the voters, we were never on the hook for anything, other than the feasibility study, which did pass town meeting. So there was no way that we would be exposed. All right, so, any other discussion? Okay, so we need a motion to approve. So if somebody wants to go ahead and make the motion.
I move that we approve the Drummy, Rosane, Anderson Incorporated contracts
And authorizes the chairman to sign.
and authorize our chairman to sign
Amendment number 2.
amendment number 2.
Great, okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries. All right, so we have some appointments.
Mr.
Yes,
Chairman, before you go on, while we're talking about the school building project, I had a meeting today with our owner's project managers, Carol, Superintendent Jacobs, and the finance team, our town accountant, and our town treasurer. Just because now we're officially moved into this, the main phase of the project. We're wrapping up the financial aspects of the feasibility study, and now we're moving into this design development phase. We have, and I share that concern, that the workload for handling the billing process is going to far exceed our capacity as it stands right now. Basically, we have one person, the town accountant, that handles all the billing procedures, and that includes not only doing the warrant for it, but we have to enter it into the MSBA ProPay system. We get assistance from our owner's project management team of municipal building. But now that we're moving into this more aggressive stage, and especially when we get into the contracting, the construction phase, there's going to be a heck of a lot more bills. We're going to get bills from all the subs, although the owner's project manager will do his best to combine them, but it's still gonna be a lot more work. We've talked with other towns that have gone through this process, and even the ones with multiple finance team members, town of Tewksbury, for instance, they have 3 people in their finance office. They had to hire an additional clerk just to handle the building of their school. I also spoke with our town auditor, and it was her feeling as well that this was going to be too much for one person to handle. We originally, and the reason why Carol was brought into the discussion, back when the feasibility study started, we were going to have one of their financial people be the ProPay backup person for Mary. That never happened because that person went out on disability for the summer, and when she came back, it didn't happen. It's going to happen. We still have to have somebody trained by MSBA to be able to do this. So Carol agreed that, we need to go through and have that backup person. But that's just a contingency if God forbid somebody gets hit by a bus. It's not going to be able to take on any additional workload. Long story short, we feel after discussions today that if we can get an extra 10 to 12 hours a month to assist in the doing the warrant and the ProPay for the project. Right now, it might only be 1 or 2 hours a month, but when we get into the construction phase, and then when they get into the buying of the furniture and the technology, that's when it's even going to be heavier than the construction phase. So we'll probably use at least the 10 to 12 hours. That's our estimate right now. Then we can fund this position out of contingencies that are already in the project. There's a $400,000 owner's contingency. So I wanted to bring this up and give the board a heads up, because we're also, obviously, I need to talk to the school building committee about this as well, because they would have to recommend it first, and then you would be the ultimate deciders on this. But that's the situation we've found ourselves in.
Okay, so what I would ask then, why don't you issue a formal report to us and tell us what that cost would be, and, again, 10 to whatever many hours they are, who that person's gonna report to, and what the oversight's gonna be. And then we can, take that document and then go to school building committee and talk about it. So, but thanks for the heads up. I mean, it's nothing we have to decide tonight, but I think it would be, important for us to have something in writing, a detailed report, nothing too crazy, but, this is the research you've done, these are the number of hours that you would anticipate for, this January, give us a timeline through the whole project and match it up, and then we'll see what the appropriation needs to be. I think that would be the way to go through it.
Okay.
All right. But that, nobody ever thought of that. We didn't even think of that. That would put an extra burden on our payee people downstairs, our accounts payable side.
Right.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, it's good to, hear about this now so we can be proactive. But I think a formal report rather than just verbal, something in writing that gives us, and layer it, like I said, layer it out month for month and let us know how many hours, and then we can take it to school building, and between us, FinCom, and school building, we can figure out how we want to fund that. But, my first thought process is I'd be disappointed, I would take it out of the project, because that's what we voted and that's what it should take.
Right, it should be a
So there
direct,
should be something in there.
it should be a
The
direct
only
cost of
problem
going
is
through.
it wouldn't be reimbursable.
Right, there's gonna be, right, okay,
They don't reimburse salaries.
understand. All right, well, I mean, we have to stay within the scope. Well, we just saved 30,000 on, on that project, so that might help.
Easy go.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, thanks for the update, but Mike, I would say give us a report. Okay. ESCO update, anything on that, Mike?
Yeah, I think I included in your package, a report that I got from the APM builders. As you can see, the vast majority of the project is listed as 100% complete. There's really the only incompletes are part of the recommissioning, making sure everything is working properly. And the biggest deficit right now is
Air conditioning.
the cooling tower. It's all hooked in and wired and ready to go, but they can't, and they have to complete the fences. There'll be a fence on the front and then plantings in the back, and they'll be done in June.
And I was gonna ask you about that, because it just seems that it's close to the property line, the setback, what were the setbacks on that? It's kinda late now, and it's there already, but,
Well,
we're gonna do some type of sound mitigation, or?
well, that's why the fence and the trees in the back, bushes in the back will absorb the sound. We do have the necessary, if there was a buffer law, we meet it.
Okay,
But frankly, there isn't, because it's not considered a building, there's no roof on it.
all right.
And it's like the building inspector
Well, that was
worked
my next
with the,
So John's been involved in the process?
From
I'm
the-
just
from the
concerned about the
get-go.
people living, their house is right there, and I wanna make sure, in terms of noise, that we're not being bad neighbors,
well,
that's all.
we have noise mitigation planned, and if it doesn't do a good job, we're gonna have to, step it up
Okay,
another degree if necessary.
Right.
But pool pumps, pump houses, things like, you can put that right up against your neighbor's fence or lot line. There are no setbacks required, and that's same.
Why are they
just
coming-
a huge pool pump.
Why are they coming back in June? Why not earlier than June, Mike? for AC?
They feel, they need some hot weather to really exercise it and test it out.
I was gonna ask when I was in earlier today, you maybe
Well, you
could've
could've
given
done
it
it
a shot.
I was kidding with them at our project.
I saw him out there. and-
Our project meeting, they could have done it over the weekend, but they needed a little hotter
Yeah.
than 50, 60 degrees.
All right, very good. We have some appointments to take care of. Request from Cultural Council. Anybody want to take a stab at that one?
I move to appoint Emily Ann Hopkins to the Cultural Council with the term to expire in June 30th, 2015.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, as far as the turf committee, I want to pass on that for tonight. We have a multitude. I'd like to do those all together. Let me do a little more research on, people that are wanting to serve on that committee. All right, license renewals. Who wants to take a stab at that? Can we do them all as one, Mike, or do we have to do them separately?
They're all, no, you have to do them for each
Okay.
restaurant. If a restaurant had multiple licenses, you can
Do them
do
as one, okay.
it in a group, but not for each.
I move to renew the common vittler license for Jimmy K's Restaurant.
Term to
With term to
expire.
expire December 31st, 2013.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
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 I move to renew the common vittler license for Arboulet Incorporated, DBA Sal's Pizza, with a term to expire December 31st, 2013.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion?
Just, I see a note here on that, that everything is paid up on all of these, I take it?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Um,
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
I move to renew the common victular license for Village Sub and Pizza with a term to expire December 31st, 2013.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. I think we're through our agenda. Any new business that we haven't covered? Okay, one quick thing, Mike. How are we doing on our lockdown procedure? Had a chance to start to look at that?
Yes, we called the alarm company, and Janet set up a meeting with them.
Okay. All right, and
I
the,
don't know the date.
all right, and the last thing, Selectman Smith on the Seabrook. You got a call into them? Just give us a 2-minute.
I did reach out to them via their website. Next Era, I believe, is the parent company. And I did get a return call, which was a voicemail, so I anticipate I should be able to have a conversation with them before our next meeting.
And the thought process is to give them the opportunity to come in and explain some of the, some of the issues that the other group had brought to us.
Right, either respond in writing or
Come and see us.
come and see us.
All right.
Just give them the opportunity.
All right,
David, were you gonna do this or not, or next meeting?
next meeting.
Okay.
Yep. All right, are we all set to adjourn?
Is there a tri-board meeting tomorrow night?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Nope, there's
Right, the wrong date?
Yep, there's no scheduled FinCom, Selectmen or anything tomorrow night.
There's a workshop.
There's a workshop going on,
workshop,
that
okay.
I'm gonna be going to, again, non-quorum, trying to get some organization on the budget and get work through that process, so. All right, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good night, everybody, thank you.
Please don't leave. These
Yeah,
are-
I'm still confused on signing these, Mike.